Welcome to Riyadh. It's the Sitdown. We are with Ben Davison, trainer of not just Moses Itauma, but Fabio Wardley, Anthony Joshua, Jamie TKV,
Barriers,
and others, and the one and only Spencer the Omen Oliver. It's great to see you both, guys. Let's get started straight away with Frank Warren on Moses Itauma. Obviously, Frank loves Moses. He's got his son, Francis, managing him. He's got George and himself kind of creating his career, creating a highway for him. Obviously, your expertise in the background as well. Frank has said that Moses hadn't had his chin tested yet. Has he got to get hit on the chin?
No, definitely not. You don't have to.
Will he get hit on the chin?
Possibly. We're not.
Have you seen him being hit on the chin?
Of course, but, you know, he's been hit in the amateurs. He's boxed at the top level in the amateurs. I've seen him be hit in sparring. Never been a concern. But as Moses would say himself with the heavyweights, they've all got the capabilities to switch each other off. So all this about test his chin. I think what you really mean is him, someone to hit him, hurt him, take him to a place where he's uncomfortable. I think that's more what you mean rather than get hit on the chin.
Well, here's what Moses, it's a perfect segue, because here's what Moses had to say when he was asked about it the other day on Hawksby and Jacobs. Take a look at this.
You say you don't take notice of what other people say, but Frank Warren did hint he feels that your chin is untested. What do you make of that, Moses?
It's not. I mean, it's not tested. Yeah, I agree. But the best chins are the ones that don't get tested. So, I don't really understand this new concept of boxing where, like, you need to get a hit on the chin to see if you're a good boxer. I've never understood that. Like, obviously, the aim of boxing is to hit and not get hit. So, why am I getting the blame because I don't get hit? Like, it doesn't make no sense to me. Like, if I go my whole career and I don't get punched one time, people are gonna be like, oh, but he can't be a great because he never got hit. So listen, my chin is not tested under the bright lights. Obviously, I've sparred many rounds. Sparring is different. There's only one way to find out.
I don't care if I never get hit on the chin. He's going to be hit on the chin, as Ben just said. He's been hit on the chin. He's seen him spar. As Ben said, he has seen things with Moses that other people haven't seen, which is what fills him with confidence. Hit and not be hit. And it's brilliant to hear a heavyweight saying that, because Spencer, in the heavyweight division, it's not welterweight, it's not middleweight, it's the heavyweight division, and one punch can change anything.
Let me explain this from a fighter's perspective. All this about, his chin needs to be tested. Trust me, his chin's been tested. This kid's been sparring the top heavyweights since he was a 15-year-old. And I'm talking like your Lawrence Okolis, your Dillian Whytes, your Anthony Joshuas. They're heavy hitters. When they spar, they don't go light. These guys want to put this young kid in his place. So he would have been tested in sparring. Okay, yeah, all right, that's different to what it is when you get into the ring. But there is an element of I've seen people get chinned in the gym all the time, on a regular basis, right? And this kid stood up to him as a 15-year-old. So that whole thing about his chin must be tested, trust me, it would have been tested to a certain extent for sure.
Ben, are people really saying what they want to see is Moses challenged a little bit more, get a gut check, and maybe this is that fight where people don't feel that after 12 fights he's just rolling in there and he's just destroying people. They want to see him in a fight, see him respond, like say, not if he gets hurt necessarily, but just respond counter to being hit, all those kind of things that we want to see in a fighter.
Yeah, of course, I think so. I think that's more so what people are referring to, and obviously along the way it's our job to prepare him for that. So we've put him in situations where put him in tough spars and try our best to make it hard for him. And being honest, all this talk about, if it turns into a dog fight and all the rest of it, I think there's areas to Moses' game that people haven't seen yet. And I think if it goes that way, I wouldn't be surprised if Moses was the one that got the better of that situation as well. He can fight up close, he can fight inside, he can defend himself, he can look after himself. he's a nightmare to be in the ring with. Put it that way.
It's it feeds into the question. I'll ask you both about this. That Moses said on the face of it, if he follows the game plan, he wins. That was in the face-off on DAZN, which is very interesting. If he lets it become a dogfight, he says Dillian wins. Does it matter how he wins? Is it a KO essential for the optics here for him, in your view? Maybe especially with Turki Al-Sheikh saying about Tom and Jerry fights.
No, not at all. I don't agree, because I think that it's not about how he wins. This is all just still a part of his progression.
So if he wins on points, you're fine with that?
However he wins, it's all part of experience gain, part of his development, all part of the journey for him to become for him to fulfill his potential and talent and be the best version of him that he can be.
Yeah, I think what Moses was referring to there, he said if he turns into a dogfight, then he wins. What he's saying is if I don't stick to my game plan, in that game plan that Ben would have put to him, and I'm sure Ben can back me up on this, they will have said, listen, if we get into those penultimate rounds where Dillian then comes into his own because of his experience, it may turn into a dogfight. He would have prepared for that. But what he's saying is if we go out there and it's a dogfight early, I don't stick to the game plan, he wins the fight because I've gone into his game. When you get to a fight of this magnitude, when you get to this sort of level, you have to stick to the game plan. The game plan from Ben and the team, without me even speaking to them, will not be go in there and have a dogfight with him. This kid, Moses Itauma, has a boxing IQ. He sets the traps, the pouring shots that we're talking about. He does all that, right? And you go, that's for a reason. So, but he will have prepared for being in a dogfight at some point of the fight.
But also, I think what he's referring to is that it equals the fight out if he has a dogfight with Dillian. It gives Dillian more opportunities in the fight. Having said that, I think he's got faster hand speed. And I think what happens with Moses, he warms into a fight, doesn't he?
Yeah, like what I was referring to there is I've seen him in spars where, guys have come to try and put it on him, and by the end of the spar, he's walking them down, and that's the sort of stuff that you want to see. That's what
we want to see.
That's the sort of stuff that you saw from Shakur in his last fight. That's the sort of stuff that, do you know what, you see people associate Floyd Mayweather with being this boxer. I had a conversation with Ricky Hatton before, and he said, "Do you want to know the truth, Ben? Floyd was beating the shit out of me up close." That's what Ricky told me. Apologise for the swearing, but he, you can't forever just hold someone off. There's going to be times where someone does get close, and believe you me, he can fight up close.
On that with Ricky Hatton and Floyd Mayweather, I think Ricky got hit by elbows and forearms that night more than he'd ever been hit in a fight. And Joe Cortez allowed it, and he'd never liked that. On a bigger overarching subject, I'm kind of backtracking here a little bit. How has Moses, in your view, found it headlining in Saudi? I've found him more talkative in the build-up to this, more gregarious, more outward, enjoying the process. There's a quote that stands out for me, which is, "I can't believe I walk out into Riyadh and there's posters of me and my face is on cars and vans, and I'm 20 years old. I'm so grateful to be in Britain, the son of two immigrants, and look what my life is right now." He seems to be relishing it.
Yes, again, a huge part of him being able to do what he's doing at such a young age is skill, but it's also maturity for him to be able to do it at that age. If he didn't have that maturity, that emotional intelligence, that emotional maturity, he wouldn't be able to do these things that he's doing at this age. His skill set would allow it, but the again, maturity and those sorts of things is what's allowing him to do what he's doing at this point. And it's water off a duck's back, and it's really something special.
Ben, I know he's been preparing because he's boxed out here before, but now he's top of the bill with something different. Now, I've watched him all week. We've been out here from the beginning of the week, and I've watched him, and he's grown into it, if I'm totally honest. It was a little bit of a take-me-back moment, maybe a pinch-me moment. This is now me, and I'm not just an undercard fighter, and you saw that. And I saw him last night, and he was talking different, holding himself different. I asked him the question, actually, and he said, yeah, I didn't even want to stay in the same hotel as him. I don't want to start training in the Mike Tyson gym where they're training. I want to do it different. Tell us a little bit about that, and, get into the mindset of that. Yeah,
I just think that sometimes preparations coming to a close. Just had his last spar, flown over here, settling in. Now the fight week stuff started. We had the grand arrivals last night, got the workout tonight, and I think he's just taking it step by step. You know, he's not someone that gets overwhelmed. He's not someone that you need to take to the side and put an arm around and have a chat. For a 20-year-old, again, I keep saying about it, the emotional maturity, the emotional intelligence, that is something in itself that's allowing him to achieve all this stuff at such a young age.
So that maturity that he's got, that way at 20 to ask for the right things, knowing the things that he needs is there. He's got his critics as well. Duke McKenzie, for example, believes that Moses is making mistakes and there are failings there with this pawing right hand with his jab. Let's just take a look at Duke criticising him right now.
You talked about there was areas that needed to improve with Moses Itauma on one of the shows that we did recently. Duke. Do you want to elaborate upon what you think those areas are?
Well, you know, if I'm going to elaborate with Moses Itauma and say what I think he's doing right and what he's doing wrong, the one thing I think he does wrong, which he absolutely telegraphs, see when he starts to paw with his right hand, he's trying to set up the backhand and he paws with his right hand, right, and leaves it out there. To somebody like Dillian Whyte, that's an invitation to say, hit me on the chin. You can't, I wouldn't do it if I was him, because that jab's got to be like ramrod. He's got to be sticking it in his face and making sure that he knows what time it is. I don't think he won't be allowed that luxury to go and, you know, they call it jousting or fencing or whatever they want to call it, when he sticks the right hand out and he starts doing all that sort of thing. Because Dillian Whyte will knock it out of the way and put a shot straight on him. So he's got to cut that out. I'd like to see a lot more head movement from Moses Itauma, because he doesn't move his head at all. Everything's based on power and reflex.
Okay, you don't hear many people being critical of Moses. How do you respond to that with Duke's comments there?
Yeah, obviously we've got nothing against that. He's looking at where he feels that he can improve and things he's doing wrong. I agree with Spencer, what Spencer said there. You know, I feel like it's quite obvious that what he's talking about there, Moses is setting a trap, and if you take that, you're going to get made to pay. But Duke's obviously a high achiever and he's entitled to his opinion, and I don't. There's no offence meant by that. He's just giving his opinion. So,
yeah, I mean, look, when a fighter like Moses, who's got a big boxing IQ, if a fighter's like boxing at that southpaw stance and he drops that lead right hand, he's setting the trap. He's trying to get the fighter to throw because the back foot's there, it's planted, it's ready to go, and as soon as the fighter makes a move, you go and shoot the shot. It's not when he delivers the shot. As soon as you see a little twitch, boom, and goes through. And that's what Moses does historically. You look through his fights, look through his throw. Even as an amateur, he's one of those guys that is very dangerous. You can't attack him because he's always waiting for the counter and he'll set the traps. And that's what he's doing by doing that. So, yeah, I agree in many ways. You know, Duke saw that and maybe said that might be a weakness. But I actually think that it's a strength, because I think what he's doing is going, come on, son. Take the shot, and if you take the shot, you're going to get made to pay. Moses is very spiteful. So I think, yeah, it's look, everyone's going to have that opinion, but that's the way I see it.
As we've got you here, and obviously you train Anthony Joshua, we're going to go on to him in a minute, but finally for now on Moses, do you see this as a world title eliminator? Did you like the matchup with Dillian Whyte? Is it someone you went after? We understand Derek Chisora was offered as well. And if he wins this, do you look at Joseph Parker afterwards? There's a lot of questions there.
We just take it fight by fight, to be honest, and I think that it wasn't a case of, you know, there was a list of names that we thought, you know, these are probably the right fights for him.
Was a Coley one of them as well?
No, not necessarily.
But Chisora was in the mix.
He wasn't someone
that was put on.
Yeah, he wasn't someone that was put on the list, but he was clearly made an offer. But there was a few people on the list, and when opportunities come up, sometimes, you know, you got to look at it, assess it, and if it's the right move, again, it's always risk versus reward. Dillian's a huge name. He's been a huge part in this fantastic.
He's a cult figure in the heavyweight
100%,
division,
and he's been a huge part in this fantastic heavyweight era that we've had.
And on that note, just a sec, Spen, just on that note, have you noticed with Moses in the build-up to this, because it's Dillian, because it's a bigger name, because there's more resonance, that there's a change in him, there's an attitude in him? I think I've noticed it.
Not in terms of his preparation, because he treats everybody the same. He treats everybody with full respect, prepares professionally, properly, every single time, and he's the ultimate professional in that sense.
Biggest fight, isn't it? It's a big fight for him.
Of course it
Big
is.
test.
It's a coming of age fight for Moses at a young age of 20, you know. But like I say, sometimes you get fighters that come along, and Moses is a special fighter, whether you like it or not. You know, what the kid does, the way he delivers, his amateur pedigree, all of that. You go like, you know, how high's the ceiling? You know, you're getting these fighters put in front of him, like Mike Balogun last time out, and he just blew him away. Before that, Dempsey McKean, who went 12 rounds with Filip Hrgovic, meant to give him the rounds that we're going to find out, blows him away. You go, so just how good is this kid? You know, comparisons to him and a young Mike Tyson way back when Tyson was just going through everyone. You go like, you've got to try, you're trying to find that level to say, let's find someone that can give him the rounds. Now you're going Dillian Whyte. We're talking about world-class operators, former WBC interim champions, and you go, when people are talking about, oh, Dillian Whyte, you're getting him at the right time. He's 37, right? So didn't just a certain Alexander Usyk, who's 38, just become undisputed world champion? So don't use that as he's an old, tired fighter. He's not looked good in his last couple of fights since 2022 with Tyson Fury.
He's won his last 3.
No, he's not looked particularly good in them. Jermaine Franklin, by the way, is a tricky customer, so he's done all right in that. But he's not been in this shape, Dillian Whyte. He's not to be overlooked here, because if you look at the condition he was in, especially in his last fight against Tete, you go and you look at the condition he's in now. He's come to win here, so you can't underestimate this guy.
You can't overlook him. There's no question about that. I mean, if you look back in his career, his best days were probably 4 to 7 years ago. I say that in terms of him being inactive. That's one of the things. He's been very inactive. 3 fights in 3 years.
I made a point on when I come on the show with Spencer and Simon before as well, where if any other heavyweight was boxing Dillian Whyte, there wouldn't be this, it's a 1 or 2 round job expectation. I don't know where that's come from. Like if Joseph Parker was boxing him, even if Usyk was boxing him, they wouldn't say, it's a 2 round job. I don't know where that's come from. But we didn't prepare for Dillian Whyte expecting him to turn up like he did against Tete. We were preparing for the best Dillian Whyte. And as Spencer just said there, he's a special talent. And he's not the type of fighter where you need to look at guys and go, we need to try and catch him at the right time. He's good enough to compete with any of them at any point.
So he's ranked 27 in the world on BoxRec at the moment, but you'd put him in with any of the 26 below him.
Yeah, again, it's risk versus reward. So at the time, what do they have to offer? There might be a fight that's just as hard, but the reward's not there. There might be a fight that's just as hard as that one, but there's more reward to gain.
What's the risk in this fight?
Dillian Whyte.
That he's the arch survivor, that he's a proud fighter, that he's shown that he's got something.
Yeah, he's a seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
He's a top quality heavyweight, top fighter, big puncher, lot of experience. You know, there's lots there.
But Moses has said if he plays to the game plan, and you've heard this as well, Spence, if he plays to the game plan, he doesn't think Dillian makes 12 rounds.
No, I think it's very hard for any heavyweight to get to 12 rounds with him, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I sort of like totally agree with that at the moment. You go, Dillian Whyte is a live opponent at the moment. Let's not make no mistake about this. People that are writing him off, the guy's a live opponent. So if Moses goes and takes him out in, let's say, 3 rounds, does he not get the credit for doing that then? Because Ben's writing what he says here. Like, people are automatically going, Dillian Whyte will be over in 3 rounds. How can you judge this guy who's only ever lost to the elite world heavyweights? You know, you go, this is a serious
Never
fight,
been
and it tells
blown
us
away either.
more about Moses than we knew before.
So if he does do that, are we looking at a world title eliminator, and could he potentially fight for a world title next, say, against a Joseph Parker, WBO #1 and the interim WBO champion in terms of Joseph Parker?
Again, I'll be honest, we're just focused on the fight that we've got at hand at the moment.
All right, okay, that's. I know that you can bat that away all day long.
But I've answered your question.
You have, and I'm going to ask you.
I've answered your question in a sense of there isn't a
You'd
fight.
put him in with anyone, yeah, if you had to.
Yeah.
If
Risk
the
versus reward.
if the promotional team, I'm going to come to you. If the promotional team says he's ready for a world title fight now, and the WBO's on the line against Joseph Parker, should they be taking it?
I spoke to Frank Warren about this.
And
Frank is great at navigating heavyweights.
And he's knocked out Dillian Whyte in 5.
I spoke to Frank about this, and he's great at navigating heavyweights, and he said to me, look, Spence, I'll give you that answer after the fight, because if he goes and knocks Dillian Whyte out and does it in style, yes, he's ready. That's where we're at with it.
But if he struggles to win on points and it's a difficult night or whatever other outcome there is,
then you've got to let him grow a little bit more. He's a 20-year-old kid at the end of the day. You go, but he's ranked number 1 with the WBO. Philip Hrgovic is boxing David Adelaide. The winner of that effectively is the number 2. Joseph Parker's the interim. You go, if Parker decides to take another route with another big name or whatever else, you could find yourself in a position where you have, let's say, Hrgovic or Adelaide. You find a position where Moses is the number 1, boxes Hrgovic or Adelaide, the winner of that, for the vacant WBO title. Or it could be Joseph Parker. There's so many moving parts at the moment. But it's very interesting. But it's all about how he performs. And I think, Ben has said that, but Frank Warren said that as well. And he's great at timing, Frank.
For sure.
I agree with all of that, then, basically. I know it makes sense what Spencer's saying. So outside maybe Usyk, and he could end up fighting Usyk, and that will be extraordinary to be an undisputed champion or beat the undisputed champion by the age of 22 if it happens before December next year, because he's 22 next December, isn't he, of 2026. I don't think he'll fight Joshua. I don't think he'll fight Tyson Fury. I don't think they'll step in with Moses. But there are 7, 8, 9 other guys that he could fight over the next 4 years, and they're all incredible fights. And that's your Bacolis, Acolis, Wardleys. I don't know how you make that happen, but because they're both in the same BD Performance Centre.
Yeah, I don't think that far.
But all of those guys, Kabayel, you say that, but if there's 20 million on the line.
But how does that happen if you're in the same gym? You can't. It doesn't work.
It was a divorce. That you have to have a divorce. Someone has to leave.
Doesn't happen like that, mate.
But there are 9 or 10 fights there for him. Daniel Dubois, excluding Wardley, but Daniel Dubois, Ajit Kabayel, Joseph Parker.
There's lots and lots of fights.
So many great fights.
Like you said, there's the Tyson Fury and the Anthony Joshua thing. They've both been very, very supportive of Moses, and there's a hell of a lot of respect there. And they've shared advice and tried to help him grow. And even this week, AJ's dropped me a message saying if there's anything that he needs or I can help with anything, there's that. So those fights are never going to happen, obviously. AJ obviously has been in the gym with Moses as well, and Moses has been and done camps with Tyson, helped him prepare for fights. So there's too much respect and that sort of stuff from there for that to happen, obviously. But there's so many fights. The heavyweights
It's a great division.
It's
at
on
the moment
fire.
for
At the
Nacho.
moment.
I
It's
completely
on
agree with
fire.
you. On AJ, and you're both obviously in his flaming WhatsApp groups. So we're going to the AJ fanboy.
That sounds like a little bit of jealousy,
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
it?
of course
I'd love to be in the AJ WhatsApp group.
I'll put a message in and see what they say.
The bad thing as well is different WhatsApp groups as well.
There you go.
Did you see that message they said about Gareth the other day?
Yeah. So AJ, right, talking of AJ, first, can Moses, in your view, become a household name like AJ?
Yeah, of course he can.
AJ, do you have any belief that AJ will fight Jake Paul? What do you think of the fight? I think we've made our views very clear. We're against it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the end of the day, I think, do I believe... of course I believe it can happen. I'll put it like this. Do you remember when Floyd come out wearing a ski mask when he boxed McGregor? Like he was robbing the bank. It's a free bank robbery. I do get that. But I don't think AJ would be like, oh, let's chase that fight. Not at all, not for one bit. But if like it gets put to the point where there's tons of money on the table for him to be like, oh, do you want to do this? Like, he could get in there and play with him.
Should it be sanctioned even though, Ben?
I'm
risky?
I'm on the same point as you. We've all gone over that. I get that. So I agree. Like, Anthony Joshua is one of the most dangerous men to stand in front of, one of the most dangerous punchers, if not the most dangerous puncher in world boxing. Francis Ngannou is one of the most durable men on the planet and was probably more qualified to box Anthony Joshua based off of his 10 rounds with Tyson Fury than somebody like Jake Paul. As well as you take into consideration just everything. I think it's dangerous when you talk
Give
about
us from the WhatsApp group then whether he's going to fight Jake Paul or not.
Well, I can't give you that from the WhatsApp group because what happens in the WhatsApp group
Stays in the WhatsApp
There
group.
you go.
But
There you
anyway,
go.
yeah. But anyway,
What's your take on it?
So my
What
take on
Ben's
it
saying?
is that Anthony Joshua is more about legacy right now. That money, listen, he's got enough money in the bank to not worry about having to take a Jake Paul fight. The Jake Paul fight will always be there if he wants to do it, but he's more about chasing his dreams. He wants to become a three-time world heavyweight champion, and that's basically where he's at.
Well, on that note, there's a little clip with you and Adi Oladipo talking about AJ. Just take a look at this, and we'll leap off it after we've seen that.
We're known to be a little bit biased towards him, but I'm going to be honest with this opinion, and I want you to be as well. Do you think Anthony Joshua will become world champion again in 2026? 2026. Now think about what I just said about all the titles.
Yeah, 100%. Because ultimately, as you kind of done your workings, AJ could fight Hergovich, he could fight Yoka, he could fight Parker, he could fight Kabayel. AJ can beat those 4 guys. If you're not named Alexander Usyk, or maybe Tyson Fury, AJ can beat you. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm with him as well, by the way. I think that AJ, out of nowhere, is going to get a world title opportunity at the end of the year. And I've put it on the line here, guys. I've said I believe it's going to be Tony Yoka because of that whole Olympic style thing. But let's wait and see. Let's see if that happens.
Let's come to Ben because Spencer nailed his colours to the mast that AJ will become a champion again, world champion in 2026. Do you see it, Ben?
I totally understand the path to it. Like it's very clear. I don't think it's what you're talking about. Can't see it. How can you not see it? The chance that the belt's become fragmented. Anthony Joshua is one of the biggest names in world boxing, top 3. You think that he couldn't be put in with an opportunity to box for the title?
Is that more important to him than fighting a Tyson Fury at this stage, in your view?
Oof. I can't answer that. I think that's a question that he could only answer. I think that fight is important to him. I feel like it's something he's wanted to deliver.
Does Fury want it, though?
Possibly, but I don't think, at the end of the day, they're 2 men that have gave so much to the sport of boxing. Whatever they decide to do, they're entitled to. The pair of them.
The fight's not happening until at least the middle of 2026 if it does, because Tyson
The problem
Fury's
is we've
still
been saying
doing
that for so long.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
Next
saying
year.
if it ever does, I said that fight's not even worth talking about right now because it's not the next fight for either guy. You look at Anthony Joshua and we look at what's going to be happening with these heavyweight titles and the ones that fragment, etc., etc., etc. And I know that Tony Yoka's name was pulled into the hat as well. You go Olympic gold medalist 2016, AJ 2012, and you go
sell for me that fight.
No, but I'm just saying one of those titles becomes available. Yeah, of course it sells for me. It's 2 Olympic champions. I love that. I'm trying to think of the last time a 2 Olympic heavyweight champions boxed for a world title. And do you know what?
Usyk probably.
No, yeah,
But
AJ Usyk.
Wasn't a heavyweight.
When I go right back,
AJ and Klitschko.
I go.
Yeah, heavyweight 2 gold medals.
And I go also Ray Mercer versus Lennox Lewis. They were 2. Because I was thinking, you go back to like sort of 2000. So that is a sellable fight. Of course it is. And it's a winnable fight, obviously, for Anthony Joshua. And Joshua's all about...
Has he got to win one first before he fights for a world title then?
Well, it depends what happens with the world titles, doesn't it?
But would you rather see him in against a Kabayel or a Parker as opposed to a Yoka?
No, not if the world title's on the line. I'd rather see him in with whoever, whatever the business sense of it is. What I'm saying is, I think that if AJ's going to fight for a world title and win a world title this year, then and them titles become vacant, and I throw Yoka's name in the hat. I throw Kabayel's name in the hat and everything else. But they'll look at the business side of it and go, what makes more sense stylistically, etc., etc., etc. If this is the situation we're in.
I just want to butt into the question that you asked there. Does he have to win a fight before? And I'm not saying this is you, but what I'm saying is that question isn't the real question. The question is, do you think he should? Because the reality is, does he have to? Of course he doesn't have to. He's earned the right. He's Anthony Joshua. As I said, he's one of the biggest names in the sport. He doesn't have to do anything. He can walk into a heavyweight world title fight. Whether people like that or not, that is a fact. That is the reality of the situation. However, people don't like that fact. So do they think that he should have to win a fight first? Perhaps. Does he feel like he would want a fight first? Maybe. Does he have to? Certainly not. That's the reality of it. And people don't like it, but that's a fact.
On that note, guys, both of you, so many fighters in the heavyweight division at the moment don't have fights lined up, which is surprising at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, from the guys we're talking about, obviously Usyk's taking a little bit of a break, but Fury, Joshua, Chisora, Parker, Kabayel, Akoli's just fought, Bakoli. It's a bit surprising, and I do hope after this weekend that some of the pieces start to fall into place.
Yeah, I think the problem is what Spencer's been talking about. Do I take a risk? Because if these belts fragment, I'm in a great position. So do I do something now, or do I sit tight and wait? So I totally understand that. I know there's going to be news on one of the top heavyweights coming out soon. So.
And is Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudi Arabian kind of investment in boxing still interested in the heavyweight division?
Well,
you know, and if they were, we'd be seeing the fights, in my view.
Well, I think that Alexander Usyk at the moment is holding all the cards because he's got all the belts, and as soon as he decides what he's going to do, and those belts do fragment, then we're going to get all these.
Will?
Oh, they will, yeah, without a doubt. I'm pretty sure of that. I think Alexander Usyk, we might not see him in a boxing ring again. We might see him in with Jake Paul in the MMA ring, because there's been talk of that. Like, Usyk's done everything and he's beaten everyone twice. You go, so where does the motivation come from? Where does the drive come from?
Parker and Kabayel.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. But
Mate, it's always going to be someone.
No disrespect to Parker and Kabayel, but they're not the names that he's beaten. They're
But
not
it could be
Tyson
Moses
Fury,
Itauma in 9 months' time.
Well, that's the fight that His Excellency's wanting to see.
Does this Excellency want to see it as well?
Which Excellency?
Your Excellency. your Excellency.
Do I want to see it? Of course. Look, I think that, I wonder if Usyk has the outlook of Anthony Joshua gave me a chance when he could have vacated, and, very easily could have not done that fight and moved on, but he gave Usyk the opportunity, and Usyk might look at that and say, it's my duty to give the next one coming through the opportunity. So
No, I'm asking you.
Okay.
Moses Itauma stops Dillian Whyte. He beats Joseph Parker, and he looks good in both fights. And they line up the Alexander Usyk fight late summer, autumn, winter next year, whether it's out here or in the UK. Does Moses Itauma defeat Alexander Usyk, who's creeping up to 40?
He can't win. You're asking that question, can
You can't win. You can't win. You're going to get hammered, whatever you say.
No, but say what you think.
But how
Don't
those
worry,
two fights
don't
play
worry.
out is what would base his answer.
I think it's a very hard fight for Moses Itauma.
Well, even though he's trying to set me up, right, I'm going to say it. Those two fights are big in a kid. When he's at this stage of his career, them two fights will develop him and mature him as a fighter. So in those two fights, we're talking about another year down the road. Alexander Usyk's that year older as well, and there'll be more wear and tear on the clock. Timing is everything in here. Moses Itauma, if he gets Usyk when he's 40, wins the fight.
There you go. Moses Itauma wins the fight if he gets Usyk a couple of months short of his 40th birthday, or even into 2027. Will it ever happen? We don't know. Will Usyk walk away? What we know is we're now going to walk away and leave Ben Davison alone. This has been The Sit Down with myself, The Omen, and Ben Davison.